Hey guys, it's Lisa with Salesvision. It's day number 29, I think. I'll put it in the description below because I could be wrong, but I think it's day number 29 for me for the Salesvision 100 video challenge. I hope everybody's doing well this weekend. Happy Sunday to you. And what I wanted to talk about today was something called the buyer's journey. For anybody who sells online, or actually, it doesn't really matter. You could sell online or offline, just selling in general. You want to be aware of a certain thing we call the buyer's journey. Just like there's a buyer's persona, and that's something else we'll talk about at some point, how to identify a buyer. We're going to talk about I'm going to talk about the buyer's journey. Basically, you want to know that nobody wants to be sold. You probably don't like walking into a store and somebody follows you around and keeps asking, can they help you, and tries to tell you the virtues of one of their products. You don't want to be sold. We don't want to be prospected. We don't want to be, treated, like given a demo. We don't want to be treated like we're just a prospect with an expectation to buy. So as a salesperson, you can personalize your sales process to the buyer's understanding and the buyer's way of thinking by understanding the buyer's journey. And the buyer's journey is basically a three-step process. There's three stages to the buyer's journey. There's the awareness stage number 1, the consideration stage number 2, and the decision stage number 3. And I'll give you an example of each. The awareness stage is basically when the buyer realizes that they have a problem that needs to be solved. The consideration stage is when the buyer defines their problem and researches options to solve it. And the decision stage is when the buyer finally chooses a solution. They may not have decided who they will get the solution from, but they have decided on a solution. And so hopefully you would be, ready to, if you're one of the, if you offer what they're looking for, you would have something that would distinguish you from the other vendors they're considering, so that they would get this solution through you, which is why you want to research your buyer and be familiar with who you're selling to. That's why a lot of times, people say be niche specific instead of, selling, to anybody. Like there's whatever you are selling is tailored to a specific type of person, and you want to know that audience who it's tailored towards, and you want to know the audience very well, to the point that you could write a day in the life of your buyer in a journal, and they would think that they wrote it themselves. So that's how well you want to get to know your buyer. And there's different ways you can do this. You can take a survey of your target audience. That's one way to get to know the buyer, what their challenges are, what their goals are, and know how to better tailor the solution that they need. Because nobody sets out looking for a product. They're looking for a solution to a problem. If you can provide that solution, even though it may be in the form of a product, you want to be solution focused and on what that person is looking for, rather than selling them an actual product and the virtues of a product. For example, okay, let's look at, there's a graphic I'm looking at that I got from HubSpot, which I'll leave a link to that so you can look into it. There's a free download there to better understand the buyer journey and get like a template and a graphic for it. It's really very helpful. Okay, so let's look at a situation where the buyer's journey, they're making a purchasing decision of a doctor because they have some sort of illness. So say that you're a doctor, and this is what your perfect customer or the avatar of your perfect customer, this is the stages that they would go through, the 3 stages if they were on this buyer's journey. Okay, for the awareness stage, the person would be experiencing and expressing symptoms of a problem or an opportunity. The person is doing educational research to more clearly understand, frame, and give a name to their problem. So that's when they become aware they have a problem and they're trying to identify it. They might be Googling, symptoms and looking it up, talking to people and sharing their symptoms, and so they can give their problem a name. The consideration stage, at that point, the person has clearly defined and given a name to their problem or opportunity. They're committed to researching and understanding all the available approaches to solving their problem, or methods for solving the problem or for getting the opportunity. And then in the decision stage, they've decided on their solution strategy, method or approach. For instance, if it was a problem, with depression, and they determined that, the feelings they were experiencing and the symptoms are related to depression, and they decide the solution is to get evaluated by a psychiatric professional, and they would be maybe Googling different like looking up lists of doctors in their area, maybe, or asking questions online on a medical site, on a mental health site, or an advocacy site, before they actually are ready to make an appointment and make a purchase decision on deciding who to see to make an appointment. By the time they've decided that they're actually going to make an appointment with a doctor, they would compile a long list of all the available vendors and products in their given solution strategy. So they'd look up the mental health professionals in their area in this particular example, and they'd whittle the long list down to a short list and ultimately make a final purchase decision. So you want to think about, if you were that buyer and you were making that choice, what would narrow down your choices from the long list of providers to choose which one you were going to go with. For instance, maybe they have payment plans and you don't have to pay up front, and there's different financial agreements you can use for that provider that you're planning on seeing. Or they offer the first visit as a consultation, no cost. Or they have a referral service where they can do something over the phone first and then refer you to the proper person who, like triage or something, and then decide, if you need an appointment to evaluate medications or to go to an outpatient program or things like that. So that's just giving an example with one type of buyer. But anything you're selling, if you're selling software, if you're selling education, if you're selling digital products, if you're selling physical products, your buyer is going to go through the same 3 stages: the awareness, the consideration, and the decision stages. So you want to think about who your target audience is now that you have defined what a buyer's journey is, and define your particular buyer's journey. Some questions you might want to ask is, in thinking of your ideal buyer, what are the consequences of the person doing nothing and not pursuing the solution and not getting the product? What are the common misconceptions they have about addressing their goal or challenge? Is there stigma attached to it? Is there, certain misconceptions that you might want to be able to clear up when you're presenting your solution, so that they see it as something that they're not ashamed to talk about, or that it's something that's not their fault, and that they can feel comfortable in trusting you for a solution. Do they prioritize? Where do they place their goal or challenge on a priority scale? Is it something that's very high priority to them? Is it something that's time specific? Do you want to stress that when you're seeking your buyer, or talking to building rapport and trying to make a pitch for whatever solution you have? In the consideration stage, you want to think about your buyers. Now that they've clearly, know that they need something, have they defined the goal or challenge, and have they already committed to addressing it? This is when they're evaluating the different approaches and solutions to their problem. So they've already gone through the stigma and stuff, and they, are okay with the fact that they need this particular solution or have this particular problem. Then some questions you could consider is, what categories of solutions usually address their problem? How do the buyers educate themselves on the various categories? Is it something that's usually handled through a phone call, or do they usually, read literature about it? Or, how can you reach the buyer? Are they going on YouTube looking up videos about it? And if so, then you'd want to, prospect them and pitch to them through video. How do buyers decide which category is right for them? And once they get to this decision stage, and they've already decided on a solution category, for example, at this point, the buyer might be writing a pro-con list of specific offerings and decide on the one that best meets their needs. Questions you should ask yourself to define the decision stage are, what criteria do buyers use to evaluate the available offerings? What are the important things about the solution, like, that they are considering? Are they considering price as a priority? Are they considering the guarantee, of success with that product? The delivery of it, is it something that can be done digitally, or does it need to be done in person? They might be considering, is it an 8-week solution, or is it something that's immediate? What's important to them as far as the delivery of the service? Do the buyers have expectations around trying the offering before they purchase? Should you have a try it before you buy it, or should you give them a trial offer? Is that something that they are expecting? Who needs to be involved in the decision? For each person involved, how does their perspective on the decision differ? Is the solution you're offering, is it something that this person would be able to decide on their own, or would they need to check with their parents or their wife or their husband? You need to consider that. And outside of purchasing, do buyers need to make additional preparations, such as implementation plans or training strategies? What things go along with the solution, or preparations they might need? And maybe you could have even incorporate that into your product offering or into your funnel, so that you're addressing, pre and post issues, and have solutions to those problems as well. So that more or less like one-stop shopping. If there's things they need for preparation and things they're going to need after they get your solution, can you provide those as well? The answers to those questions will form a foundation of your relationship between you as a seller, or you as a problem solver, and the person with the problem, who is the buyer. I hope this made some kind of sense to you. It's been like 12 minutes, so I don't want to make this too long. I value your time as much as you value your time, and I understand, listening for 12 minutes is a huge investment if you are able to do that. So if you have any questions on this, or something wasn't clear, put it in the comments below, and I'll talk about it in a follow-up video. Okay? Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll see you tomorrow in tomorrow's video. Bye. Love you. Bye.